No matter what, people will commit to misunderstanding you. What's most important is your commitment to understanding yourself. Hello, you guys. My name is Nkira Madani, known as NK, and welcome back to Misunderstood. Being experienced but not chosen. We're going to have an honest discussion about dating as a Black woman. This is essentially part 2 of last week's conversation. I literally just went to the bathroom and changed, and we're back. And we are really going to dive into a very important topic. Black women in the dating sphere. I myself have gone through a lot when it comes to dating as a Black woman, which of course we will detail. A lot of people have a lot to say in the media about this topic as well. I want to take you guys through my dating life in my 20s, my singlehood era, which has been the last 5 years. We're going to touch on the summer house scandal. We're also going to talk about my TikTok crash out, which is actually what inspired this episode. We're going to be talking about how independence and wanting love can coexist. And then we're going to end off with some self-care tips, which will be really helpful for all the Black women listening to this who have been feeling this way for a while. You have felt experienced but not chosen. We have a lot to talk about. But before we get into this episode, take some time right now to rate the show, Misunderstood, 5 stars. You guys know the drill. We love the podcast. We want it to continue. We want weekly episodes. So rating the podcast is a very important way to keep the podcast going. It is a free and easy way to support this podcast. So if you have not already, take some time right now to rate Misunderstood, this podcast, 5 stars on both Apple and Spotify. It's also encouraged to leave a written review on Apple Podcasts because it helps other people learn more about the show. Thank you so much. So first, we're going to talk about my dating life in my 20s. If you're new here, if you do not know who I am, hello and welcome. I'm 31 years old. We got to go back in time and we have to really deconstruct how I felt pretty much ever since I started dating, which was in my 20s. So I went to a PWI, which is a predominantly white institution. All my life, I'm from Seattle. I grew up around people who did not look like me. And that, of course, shaped the way I thought about the world, how I thought about myself to a degree. And it, of course, influenced who I found attractive. It definitely influenced a lot of things for me growing up. So, of course, from a very young age, I was exposed to a specific look of people, a specific genre of the opposite sex, for the most part. That was the majority. Looking back, I had so many different crushes. I had crushes on so many different types of people. And I always do say that I don't have a specific taste of men, like what I like. I find so many different types of people attractive. I think it's also important to say here that I am a child of divorce. I am one of 5 siblings. We grew up in not the most loving household in terms of seeing love. Seeing actual love displayed between my parents. My parents got divorced when I was 12. So from a very young age, I didn't know what a healthy relationship looked like. I think that is important to talk about because it definitely shaped the way that I viewed love and I wanted to feel wanted, but at what cost? So we will get more into that later in this episode. So I've had 3 boyfriends in my life from 19 to 26. Let's see. So my boyfriend at 19, which was my very first boyfriend, he's the one who I lost my virginity to. We were together for a year. My second boyfriend was 22 to 23. My third boyfriend was 24 to 26. All 3 of those boyfriends were Black. I look back and I feel like I was trying to find myself in them. They did help me learn more about myself incrementally. In 2018, a traumatic event happened. I have never said this literally anywhere. This is a safe space, of course. Me and the girls on the pod. This is a safe space. Anyway, so I had a traumatic event happen in 2018. This happened in between my second relationship and my third relationship. I believe that's when I started going on dating apps for the first time ever. I think that's when I first downloaded Bumble and Hinge. And I remember I met this guy on Bumble and trigger warning for sexual assault. I was almost sexually assaulted. A police report was filed. It's something that I suppress and I never talk about because, of course, it is a very painful thing to have gone through. But going back in time to 2018, which was now a very long time ago, but I remember going on a date with this guy. We went to a place on the Mission. He lived, I believe, in Soma. So we walked from the Mission to Soma. I was at a work event prior. He was not as drunk as me, but he had definitely been drinking. We went on this date and then we went back to his apartment. I do not encourage this, ladies, ever, but I should not have went to his apartment upon meeting him for the very first time, but he was trying to sleep with me. He was literally trying to take my clothes off. And I was so scared. I started yelling. And then he was trying to get aggressive. He did not hit me, but he was threatening me. He said that oh my God, I can't even talk because I'm like terrified. He said he was going to get his phone and start recording me. Mind you, I am half naked at this point, and I grab a towel. I'm grabbing my clothes off the floor. It went from fine to not okay and a dangerous situation so quickly. That is what scares me so much about men. I suppress that memory because it is terrifying and I hate that I was even in that situation. I remember crying my eyes out. I remember telling the doorman what happened because he saw that I was panicking. I was so distraught. I was crying. So I told him what happened. I told him I was going to file a police report, which I did literally when I got home. I reported him on Bumble. I did everything I thought I could in my power at the time. I got him removed from Bumble because there was a lot of evidence via the text messages that he actually sent me that night. I wish I blocked him before I got all those messages, but he was still threatening me after I had left. So I sent that over to Bumble. I also used that for the police report. I say this story simply because as a Black woman, it is deeply unsettling, deeply scary to be in intimate situations where you are not fully safe. And of course, that is a one-off situation. He was a Black man. And like I said, I have dated Black men in the past. But after that experience, that was actually deeply traumatizing. I wanted to get out of my own comfort zone because I actually had never dated anyone else other than Black men until that. But like I said, my third boyfriend was Black. But then after that, I really experimented and gotten out of my shell, gotten out of my comfort zone, which I'm happy I did. But I say the story to raise awareness on why judging people face value is absolutely not okay. I have had so many people tell me, you probably date white guys. I date white guys. I date Black guys. I date all type of guys now, but nobody knows that. Nobody knows that story. People are just so quick to judge other people based on what they see, but you don't even know the half of it. I feel like this goes without saying, but there's such a misunderstanding around how people date. People love to psychoanalyze why people date who they date. But I myself have been through trauma, as most people have. But at the same time, I'm allowed to date whoever I want. And I'm allowed to date where I feel safe and where I feel comfortable. And that is not to say, do not misunderstand me, that is not to say that every single Black man is dangerous. That is not true, because there are white men who are dangerous. There are Hispanic men who are dangerous. There are a bunch of different types of men who are dangerous. I unfortunately was put in a really scary, traumatic situation, and he happened to be Black, which sucks. You know, it sucks. But like I said, after that, I still went on to date more Black men, but that was a catalyst to me opening up my horizon. That's really the only reason why I told that specific story. But I do want to interject here that sexual assault is horrible and it is a zero tolerance over here. It should be a zero tolerance everywhere. So if you are listening and if you have been in a situation similar or if you've experienced any type of assault, I am so sorry. Oh my God, I don't want to start crying, but it is very scary and it's very emotionally taxing. And no matter how long ago it was, it still happened. But like I said, the only reason why I'm sharing this story is to connect with the girls and also illustrate why I decided to get outside of my previous comfort zone, because I definitely was in a comfort zone up until then. My parents said you should be dating someone who looks like you. Yes, they did say that. They did. Okay. So These are the things that we are told as Black women. Let me be so clear. Anyways, now let us talk about my singlehood, which I'm currently still in. So we're in May by the time this episode comes out, and that is exactly 5 years since I ended my last relationship. So I've been single for 5 years now, which is kind of crazy. I have had little stints of dating here and there, which I'll talk about, but I have not been in a relationship in 5 years. Let me be clear. After my third relationship ended in 2021, I promised myself that I was only going to get into a relationship when I feel whole in myself and when I feel like I've really worked on myself, which I have been doing. Since 2021, I've been to therapy, started my businesses, I moved to New York. I did a lot of things for myself, and I feel like I really took back autonomy of my life and who I was. And it wasn't until 2025 that I actually told myself that I'm ready to be in a relationship. I needed those single years to grow, truly. And I really urge everybody to take years. Okay, it doesn't have to be years, but take time, take intentional time to be single. You will be better for it. I promise. But anyways, since 2021 to the present, I've dated a ton of different types of guys. I've dated them in a lot of different spurts of time. I've had 1 month to 3 month stints. I've had 3 to 6 month stints, and I've had one that was on and off again for about 1.5 years here in New York City. But the running theme for pretty much all of them is that I felt as though I was experienced, not chosen. There were some of those dates that I personally wanted it to elevate into a relationship, but that's not what he wanted. That's not how he viewed me. And that is really, really emotionally tough to swallow. A lot of those guys made me feel like I was an endgame because they wanted to experience what it was like to date a Black girl, to sleep with a Black girl, to have all these benefits of a Black girl and not commit. So many of them said, I'm not looking for anything serious right now, or I like you, but I'm not ready to be in a relationship. I want to keep things casual. Yeah. I have heard a lot of renditions to those statements over the course of time. And it all boils down to I was never their first choice. Even as kids, we learn that not feeling like you are prioritized, not feeling like you are someone's first choice, you don't feel like you're good enough. So every time I would go through these essentially situationships, I truly walked away feeling like I was only a convenience to them. I was a pleasure. I was a toy to be played with. I was a black belt. I was an object for them to use how they wanted. They can put me down and move on. I think it's important for me to tell a little story. Summer of 2024, I met this guy on Hinge. We will call him Evan. That's not his name. It's funny because I could not for the life of me remember his name when I was writing notes for this episode. So I literally just wrote, his name's Evan. His name's not Evan. I know his name now. It just came up in my head. Obviously, I'm not going to say his name. So his name is Evan. Evan messaged me on Hinge. Again, this is back in June of 2024. We ended up going on 5 dates in the span of a month and a half. And things felt exciting and fun and flirty. I enjoyed the excitement of dating a guy who I was physically attracted to, a guy who, of course, was a provider, made me feel special. However, it felt like as the dates went on, so I'm talking third date and on. So the first 2 dates were fun and exciting. I enjoyed my experience. And then the third date, fourth date, fifth date, definitely felt this intuition. I felt this gut feeling that this guy is just here because he wants to experience me. He's probably bored and doesn't want to be alone. And I made the stupid mistake of texting him out of the blue. I believe this was after the third date because I clocked it. One thing about me, if I feel a type of way, I'm going to let someone know about it because why not? But anyways, I remember clocking it and I remember texting him saying, I want to know if you like me. I want to know where we stand, which ladies never do that. Of course, I am just a girl. You are also just a girl, but I don't want you to ever ask those kind of questions to a guy because they will either lie to you or they'll try to play in your face and string you along for their benefit. He gave me such a bullshit answer. In the back of my head, I knew that now this is a ticking time bomb. This is going to fizzle out. Once I got that confirmation from him based on what he said, I knew that this was going to fizzle out. Then it just made me feel like I'm just a convenience. He doesn't see me as someone worthy to him to date seriously, to actually make me his girlfriend, to actually bring me home to his parents and build a life with me. He doesn't see that with me. And that is so tough. If you don't laugh, you'll cry. But I have had a lot of experiences like that. That is not the only experience I've had like that. I've had a lot of very parallel experiences with guys that make me feel like I'm not worthy to lock down. I'm not worthy to be a girlfriend, be a fiance, be a wife. And when it happens enough, you start to think, is something wrong with me? And no, nothing is wrong with you, but you can't help but think that when these things happen so constantly, when these things happen over and over again. And actually on the 4th and 5th date, I just want to interject. Those 2 last dates felt so low effort, very last minute. And it was really showing in his actions that he is playing me like a toy. And even in bed, it just felt so low effort. It felt like he didn't care that I wasn't being pleased. He was very self-serving and he wanted to just get off and not make sure that I did. I know I'm saying a lot. I know I'm being vulnerable, but of course, this is my podcast and that's what we do over here. It's really just to illustrate so vividly, so explicitly that there's a lot that comes with dating as a Black woman. We have so many things we have to think about. We have to think about how we present ourselves, even though we should just be concerned about showing up as us. And it feels like we're already viewed as inferior to the public. It's very, very hard to wrap my head around. I want to talk about a trope that Black women do get slated in quite often. It's been happening for centuries. It is the Jezebel trope. So if you do not know what Jezebel is or what it means, I have the definition for you. Jezebel is a derogatory stereotype in American culture used towards historically Black women as aggressive, hypersexual, and immoral. We are viewed as inferior or less than human in a lot of regards. We are seen as an object to be passed around rather than an entire being with feelings and thoughts and emotions. It is a very dehumanizing and exhausting experience. All right, and now we are going to be talking about what a lot of the world is talking about. Maybe not the world, but this is a very hot topic in social media, in reality TV, and I first want to say, people who listen to the podcast regularly, you already know this, so I'm just saying this to anybody new. I don't really like to speak on reality TV celebrities. I really don't. I maybe use them in very minute cases just to illustrate an argument or an idea from time to time, but it's not my whole personality. I have never made it so. So what I'm about to say is a little out of character for me, but it is so in line with this topic that I absolutely had to talk about it. And I also love the show. So we are going to be talking about Summer House and the scandal, really creating waves in social media. But before we even dive into it, I think it's important to share a disclaimer here, share a common misunderstanding that I just want to say before we talk about it so that you're thinking about this very consciously as you're listening to what I will say. I mean, I think this goes without saying, but anybody can date whoever they want. And I personally hate more than anything, when people look down on others for who they decide to date based on race. It is a running topic on social media. It is a running topic in day-to-day. People look at other people sideways for who they decide to date. I think it is sick. It is rooted in a lot of things that I don't even want to get into on this podcast because I feel like this podcast is overall pretty positive. So I don't want to skew it in a negative way ever. But one thing I will be is honest always. When people use that as a slight towards someone else, I think is horrible. You should not do that. And that will always be my take. And unfortunately, being experienced and not chosen does not apply to just a specific race. A lot of people like to believe that. That is the misunderstanding, but that's not true. You can be experienced and not chosen by a whole host of different types of people, different types of races, backgrounds. It doesn't matter. We see it in so many different cases. I do not want the consensus to be that it is based on one race. It is not. All right, now let us talk about Summer House and the scandal. I don't even want to say his name because I don't even want to give him any airtime. So I'm just going to talk about Sierra because she's the queen in this situation. I watch Summer House, so I feel more connected to it. I have been watching Summer House for years now, and I've come to really enjoy the cast as a whole. But what is happening right now in the Summer House world? Sierra was dating this guy from the Midwest, and Amanda, a friend of Sierra, she was a friend of Sierra before all this happened. Sierra has been such a good friend to Amanda. Amanda essentially went behind Sierra's back, lied to her, gaslit her, honestly weaponized her vulnerability in a lot of ways. Went after the guy who Sierra had been with in the past and has present feelings for as well. All right. So there's two parts to it. She had a past with this guy, but also currently has feelings for him and was trying to sort her feelings out and really try to figure out where she stands with her feelings with this guy. Amanda has heard all the conversations, acted like a friend through all of this, and still went behind her back and got with this same guy. It's crazy. It's insane. I was shocked when I saw it, and I thought that it was a joke. And unfortunately, it's not a joke. That's the high-level overview of the scandal. So it is creating waves in social media. Everyone's talking about it. Of course, the betrayal aspect is horrible. But why a lot of people are talking about it more so is because there is a racial aspect here that cannot be ignored. Amanda's white, and the guy is also white, and Sierra's black. And in this situation, essentially, Sierra was experienced and not chosen. He experienced her, he slept with her, he didn't commit to her, but he quickly committed to her white counterpart, Amanda. To say that was triggering is a deep understatement. It cut so deep because it really amplified the fact that a black woman, and she is so beautiful, but of course she's more than just her beauty, which is what she always speaks about on the show and in interviews, which I deeply respect. But if we're taking it at face value, just for the purposes of explaining this, a woman as beautiful as Sierra is not being committed to as a black woman. It triggers so many of us black women. It triggers us deeply because we have all been a Sierra. We have all been in a situation where we have been played with, have been used as a toy, have been disrespected and discarded. I feel so sad for Sierra because she does not deserve this. No one deserves this type of treatment. And it's also so public, which I feel like that makes it even worse. But I digress. So that is the Summer House scandal. That is what is going on. It really, really illuminated so much for me. It really triggered me. It really made me so sad because it further had me psychoanalyze my life and psychoanalyze the relationships I've had with guys who have treated me like shit. In the past, I put up with it. I realized that now that I'm not putting up with shit anymore from guys, my phone has never been drier. I have been celibate for almost 9 months now. I haven't been on a date in 3 months. I just feel like I'm not wanted because I have self-respect, because I have boundaries. And like I said, Sierra's situation and scenario involved her white counterparts, but I do not want the overall takeaway of this message to be that only white people treat black people this way. Unfortunately, black people also treat black people this way. And other races treat yes, there's nuance to everything. Please, everybody, think that through. There was a really interesting statistic that I saw that I wanted to read. The lowest divorce rates statistically is a marriage between a black woman and a white man. That is a fact. So clearly, yes, there are people who commit to other people. Duh. Common sense. But when these standout instances happen, it just calls into question how we feel currently, which is so normal. The Summer House situation also reinstilled in me that I have to take a lot more caution as a black woman. I always had, but it just restated the obvious for me. There's a saying that I've heard for a while now, and I really, really, really like this saying. It is, go where you are celebrated. And I think there's so much truth to that. Of course, in every single scenario, you can get fucked over and things can go sideways. That's life. But for the most part, go where you feel celebrated, because if you do that, you will avoid most of the negativity just right off the bat. Black women listening to this, and also whoever else is listening to this and learning something new, it's really important to understand some of the other psychological trauma that we face as Black women dating. We constantly go through a psychological warfare of what will our family think of our partner. If we do bring a partner home that is not Black, what will our friends think? What will the world think? Unfortunately, we are programmed to think about other people's opinions over our own, about our dating experience, of our partners, of the people who we choose to be involved with romantically, is now everyone's opinion rather than just our own. It's horrible. We are truly always so concerned with the perception of other people. I know I am. I think about what my parents tell me all the time, and they've been saying this since I was a kid. So it's been so ingrained in me, and it scares me to even dabble in something that goes against what they see for me. But then I always have to remember, wait a minute, whose life am I living? Am I living theirs or am I living mine? And yes, it's easier said than done because, of course, we grow up to think that we need to respect our parents, but respect goes both ways. Respect goes both ways. And I have a very strained relationship with my family, which I've talked about in a handful of episodes now, but it's something that I think about all the time. And it, of course, rings in my head every single time that I find someone attractive and every single time that I want to pursue someone. I always think about everyone else's opinion, and it is a very emotionally taxing thing to go through. All right, next, we are talking about my TikTok video. So I feel like all of these things really compounded and led to me oversharing on the internet like I do. But a lot of good came from it. A lot of good conversations came from it. So I am happy that I made the video overall. I've been celibate for almost 9 months. I have not went on a date in about 3 months. My phone has never been drier. The only man that has touched me is my physical therapist. And tell me why. That arouses me sometimes because I haven't had male affection, male attention in a while. All right? So I kind of started to spiral and I kind of started to crash out. And I had just come from a doctor's appointment and I was walking in Central Park and I really was on the verge of tears. And I was like, you know what? I need to do? I need to tell TikTok about it. So I pulled out my phone and I started recording. And it was about feeling experienced and not chosen. Really went in and talked about a lot of angles to why I feel this way. And I thought it was really great that I was able to speak very freely about something that has been weighing very heavily on me, and also how so many people responded because a lot of people truly feel this way. I also wrote something down about the specific segment of the podcast that I did want to read verbatim. Every time I see a guy that I'm remotely attracted to in the wild, meaning at a bar, out with friends, I feel the what if scenario creep into my head. What if he does choose me? What if I can have this experience that so many others get to access so easily, and sometimes without even trying? But then my what if doesn't pan out how I wanted it to. That's what really led me to making the video. Have gotten excited about some guys who I have talked to in person, some guys who I have matched with on dating apps, even though you guys already know if you've been here for a while, I openly say that I hate the dating apps for all of the obvious reasons. But even then, when I find someone who I'm attracted to, which doesn't happen often, I get very excited about them. And that's a beautiful thing, to get excited about the possibility of love and the possibility of affection and attraction. There's nothing wrong with any of that. But I feel like I'm almost programming myself to get let down. And I hate even saying that because I'm such an optimist. I always believe that even though I've gone through shit with dating, my person is out there, of course, and I always want to keep that optimism. But then my realistic hat comes on and I just start to get sad when I'm chatting with a guy on the apps or I'm chatting with them in person and things seem fun and going in the right direction, and then I get ghosted or they just never respond. And then I just feel so deprioritized and I just feel like, all right, well, I guess I'm not worth having a conversation with anymore. You're bored. You don't see me as somebody who you want to fight for, want to pursue. It's a lot. It's a lot of feelings coming together. And you know what? Some people might ask, okay, well, why did you talk about this on TikTok? Because yeah, some people are annoying like that. And they say, why didn't you just talk about this with your friends? I do talk about this with my friends. The point of social media for me is for it to be an outlet, but also to connect with other people who are clearly experiencing the same thing. I got over 200 comments on that video. So many people were sharing so many beautiful things about how they feel and just sharing it with their chest. And I just love that I helped to foster a space for other people to feel safe to even share some of the things that they share. I do want to make it clear that there are a lot of people who are not safe spaces to share this stuff with. Some of your friends are not your safe space. Some are, but some are not. And you have to know and decipher the difference for yourself. What I will say is that if you don't have friends in your life that make you feel comforted and safe for opening up about these very important, specific, vulnerable things, then you need to find people who you can do this with. And I will say, finding friends like this is not easy. It is not, because a lot of people don't get it. That's the reality. But just know, if you do not have in real life people who you can talk to right now, you will in time. But in the time frame that you do not have people who you can talk to, please always find solace in this podcast. Find solace in our group chat that we have. We have our Geneva group chat. I do want to create another room for more topics like this, because clearly people want to really share very openly, and I love that. It makes me so happy. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to create another little subgroup in the Misunderstood Girls Geneva group chat. So if you want to join our group chat, it's always linked in every single episode description. It's always been there. So please go over there and you can find solace with other people who definitely feel the same. And of course, with any topic on social media that is even remotely controversial, you get some pushback. I had a lot of great responses and a lot of great feedback and a lot of great discussions about this topic when I posted the video about it. But of course, I got some negative pushback from the video. No surprise, the negativity was mostly from men and groups that have no business even speaking on the experiences of Black women. Crazy, right? So we just keep it pushing, right? We just keep it pushing because we know what we feel, and no one is ever going to make us feel small. And I will never let anyone invalidate my experiences, because I've spent so long getting to a place of comfort and getting to a place that I feel very safe and secure and strong and happy. You will never tear me down. Ever. And in response to the TikTok video I made about to be experienced and not chosen, I do want to read some of the comments from that video. So like I said, there are over 200 comments on the video at this point, but I screenshotted a few that really stood out to me and I felt very connected to. This person says, 34 and in the same boat. I have no kids and have been single for 9 years, celibate for 8. I can say I struggle with not being chosen yet, also not settling. I think I have grieved the life I thought I would have had by now, so it doesn't hurt as much, but it also depends on the day, lol. Another person said, I have this conversation with myself all the time. The tug of war between feeling discouraged and remaining hopeful is truly exhausting. You are not alone. Another person said, this is a much needed conversation because I definitely understand this feeling and it's a discouraging feeling. Thank you for being vulnerable enough to talk about this common experience for us as Black women. Another person said, I appreciate you speaking on this. I have been mulling over this for the past few months and feeling like I'm stuck, feeling like it's just me and I'm the problem. It really does affect your confidence and self-esteem. My biggest things is letting go of others' opinions, perceptions of me, and assigning my worth to how they've treated me. I'm happy to know I'm not alone, and I'm ready to get over this hump because it's exhausting. Another person said, I feel you completely. I've had very little, almost no romantic experience, and a lot of times it feels as though there's just no one out there who's meant for me. I'm trying to balance retaining some hope for the possibility of love while preparing myself for a future in which I will likely be a long-term, forever single person. It's hard. Another person said, happy you found your voice and are sharing your experiences with others to help empower them. Anything that's for you will never choose anything or anyone else. While it may not feel this way, trust. It's a blessing in disguise. Your true match will just manifest when you least expect it. Hugs on you. Focus on you. Big hug. Man, I feel you. This has happened so many times to me, and I was so bad about internalizing it, but I had to just learn to love and choose myself always. The next one, and that's why we as Black women get so excited when other Black women are in healthy relationships, because a lot of us don't get to experience that. The next one, I hate that I live in such a white area because my now former friends never understood the feeling of only being chosen for lustful purposes and never being chosen for love and who you are as a person. I hate that they just tell me, love yourself. It's so dismissive. I'm the most independent person I know. I do everything alone, but it would be nice to feel loved and chosen by someone who chooses you, not just family loving me because they have to. Another person said, and in response to this, so many people always give me the same piece of advice. Work on yourself. It's not your time yet. You just haven't met the right person yet. But when you've done the work, you follow the advice, and you show up as your best self and still get passed over, it's insulting. It makes me wonder what I've done wrong, wondering why I'm not deserving of of someone delighting in me, seeing me, and wanting to know me. I had this thought last night randomly. The I've been with a black girl is on most people's bucket list, but that's about it. I get approached, but it's mostly because of my figure or our sex stereotypes. Thank you for allowing me to be honest. And the last comment I will read. I've never related to anything more. I have never ever been chosen by anyone. I'm always only lusted after and then discarded. Then they'll get with the next person, and it always makes me question why I am never the one that will be chosen. It does make me question my worth because no one understands what it's like to only be experienced constantly. Yeah, everyone ate with those comments. They were just so beautifully said. It, of course, also makes me so deeply sad that all of us are united in this negative shared experience. Now we're going to switch gears and talk about the next segment of this episode, which is independence and wanting love can coexist. A big misunderstanding is that people want you to be good on your own and so independent and so strong. Those are all actually really amazing good traits. And I know for a damn fact that I am so independent, hyper independent at some times, and I've made my entire world. I am the reason why I am sitting here today. I'm the reason why I'm in New York. I'm the reason why I work for myself. I'm the reason why I have created a life that I'm really deeply proud of. But you can do all that and at the same time want love. Want affection from the opposite sex, want affection from a man that you find attractive and you want to have sex with. Okay, you can crave both so deeply. Both can coexist. And you are not a pick-me for wanting love, but you need to have the self-respect to be independent when life calls for it. So here's me kind of reiterating the obvious, but like I said, I have been independent for a very long time and I have a full life and I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of everything that I've done to get to where I am. It's me. It was always me. But at the same time, I am a lover girl. I will always be. I have always been. I will always be. There's nothing that would ever take that away from me. That is part of my essence. It is part of who I am. I believe it plays a huge role in why I am so bubbly and light and happy and have this beautiful outlook on the world. It's because I'm a lover girl and I'm emotional and I have deep feelings about a lot of things. And I know that I have such a deep capacity for love and for caring about other people. I'm gonna cry. I have my tissues. What I'm trying to say is that I should not feel like I need to suppress that very integral part of me for anybody. Ever. Like I said, it keeps me vibrant. It keeps me happy. It keeps me whimsical. It keeps me me. And even in this season of the world where life feels so harsh sometimes and the world feels so harsh and scary, it feels like we're set up to fail sometimes. It feels like the harshest of the world pushes us to want to give up, but I won't. I won't let it. I know that I have such a deep capacity for love, and I know that love, the right love, really healthy, beautiful love will find me. I know that. I'm okay. I will get through this episode. I really don't want you to let the world make you feel so small. I don't want you to let the world feel like you should give up. It broke my heart reading some people's comments on my video because a lot of people said that they have given up on love, giving up on the possibility of the life that they saw for themselves as little girls. Sometimes it feels bleak, but I won't let it go. Some may call me delusional, but I know that I'm so worthy of love. You're so worthy of love if you want it. Here's the thing. If you don't want it, and if you don't see yourself settling down, having a partner, that's okay. But for the girls who want it, I'm speaking directly to you. I don't want you to let it go. I don't want you to be all consumed by it, that it ruins your life, but I don't want you to let go of that beautiful feeling of wanting to be loved by someone other than yourself. You can love yourself till you're blue in the face. Your family, your friends can love you till the end of time. But having romantic love for a lot of us is very deeply important because we grew up not seeing it. And we've been through a lot of really shitty dating experiences that have not helped how we feel. And we see it happening all around us. We see beautiful, happy, healthy relationships all around us. So we deserve it too. And that's it. I don't even have to drive that point home further, we deserve it too. So what have I been doing to pursue love while still maintaining my independence? Well, as I've already mentioned, not only this episode, but in past episodes, it's not a secret that I don't like dating apps for everything that they stand for. But in this modern day and age, I know that is where a lot of people are. So I am still on the apps. I try to go on them once a day. I don't make it my entire personality, and I don't go on them for that long, but I do try to make an intentional effort to sift through profiles, sift through conversations with people. And here's the thing, I'm not matching with a lot of people. I know what I like, and I'm not going to bullshit my brain to try to think that I like something that I don't. So I don't have a lot of matches, but for the matches that I do have, I entertain the conversations. I try to really be present and an active participant. And I always want to have it lead to a date, because I believe when you're in person, that's really when you can see true attraction and true banter and true connection through in-person meeting. And to also say that as Black women, we are made to feel like we need to succumb to anything that is thrown our way because we don't have a plethora of options to begin with. To that I say, fuck you. To anybody who says that. That is another tactic designed to make Black women feel inferior when it comes to dating. Society wants us to settle for far below what we deserve, and I won't do it. I won't do it. I actually saw a funny TikTok about this girl saying she wants to do something silly and reckless and stupid, but she remembers that she has self-respect. You're damn right. I have self-respect, and I won't put myself into a situation that is knowingly bad, knowingly not going to end well, knowingly stupid, because I have self-respect. And I know you guys do too. I know that the girls who listen to this podcast, you have self-respect, and you are not just going to let people play in your face, and you're not going to even entertain bullshit. No, we don't do that. And yes, I have been chatting with a few men on the apps. These are men that I actually find very attractive, and I can see things progressing. And I'll say that with a grain of salt. As a Black woman, it's hard to get excited about the potential of people because of everything that we've been through. It really is. And I was telling my friend about this literally last week. I said, I am excited about certain people who I'm talking to, but I want to hold my tongue because I don't want to jinx it. Because I think that happens so much when you tell your friends about a guy, and then right after you tell them about said guy no longer exists. So I'm definitely trying to manage my heart. I'm trying to manage my emotions. I'm trying to manage my expectations as I'm going through these dating apps, as I'm also going through in-person chats with people. Me and my friend were just at a bar, and there were a group of 7 guys who called us over, and we sat with them for 2 hours. They got us drinks. We were just shooting the shit, talking. Those types of interactions make me feel seen. Not even that the guys were even trying to sleep with me or anything. Also, I think it's super important to say this here. Liking a little bit of validation is not pick me. It's nice to feel seen, and it's nice to feel attracted to. That is a human biological feeling. I do not want that to get misconstrued in my message. I have personally seen how media and how society makes Black women feel like shit when we get excited about somebody. They make us feel like we shouldn't have anything to be excited about. And I rebuke that. And I'll tell you guys a little secret. Matched with this guy on Hinge that was my type 2 of freaking T. I got so excited. I was in my apartment just laying in bed when I got the match, and he responded to one of my prompts, and I was so excited. Like I mentioned, I haven't been on a date in a while, but also I haven't matched with anybody who I really felt attracted to. And attraction is important to me amongst all the other things that are more important, like values and intellect and ambition. But I was so excited, and I remember screaming in my room, filmed a TikTok video about how excited I was that a guy who I thought was cute thought I was cute too. I don't think that video will see the light of day. a lot of people like to use our joy as a joke, treat it like a joke. There's already so much emotional shit going on. I don't need that. But I am happy that I recorded an exciting reaction of something that I was excited about. That's the thing. I want you to still continue to be excited about the possibility of love and the possibility of attraction and connection, because it is exciting. And it is a very beautiful part about life that we shouldn't have stripped away from us. I also think it's really important to discuss self-esteem, self-confidence when it comes to dating as a Black woman, especially as someone who grew up not seeing a lot of people who looked like me, also who has felt the ugly duckling syndrome her entire childhood into middle school, high school, even college, a little bit of post-grad. I've just felt this way based on being bullied, but also just based on not feeling like I really grew into myself until recently. I said this in a TikTok video, but I know that I'm a beautiful person now. I'm beautiful inside and out. But for a lot of my life, I didn't feel that way at all. Of course, so many people can tell you how they feel until the end of time, but it isn't until you feel that way about yourself that the game changes. And it took me a very long time to understand that I am a beautiful person. And I'm sad that it took me that long, but it's okay. We're here now. But I think that plays a huge role in dating because I did not have a lot of self-esteem when I was younger. Because of that, I really took shit from a lot of people. I took the bare minimum from all the guys I've ever been with because I didn't see myself as good enough. Not gonna cry again, but that is so sad. But I wanted to be honest about that because it's something that a lot of work has to be done on ourselves to fight those negative feelings towards ourselves. I was in therapy for collectively 3.5 years on and off, have done a lot of affirmation in myself. I've done a lot of personal analysis on myself and really understood what I love about myself and why I know that I'm a beautiful person inside and out. I also grew into myself. I grew into my face. I grew into my body. There were a lot of things that happened over the course of time that have led me to believe that I had to do a lot of work on myself to feel comfortable in a dating sense. Because even 4 or 5 years ago, I don't even think that I would have been a good partner because I had a lot of insecurities that I've worked on since then. So I think when we're talking about dating as a Black woman, that is a very important part that we need within ourselves. We need to gain self-confidence. We need to gain self-esteem, to know full well that we are so beautiful, so valued, so worthy of love. You are beautiful no matter what. Your value is not dictated by society. For a long time, I struggled with that. I really struggled with thinking that my value relied in how society viewed me. And that is just not the case. And last but not least, let us talk about some self-care tips. So I think this is a perfect segue from what we just talked about. I wrote down some things having to do with how we take the conversation from here. Where do we go from here? We've unpacked a lot in this episode. We've shed some tears, but I think it's important to talk about what we can do as Black women to feel comforted and feel safe in the spaces we're in the dating environments that we choose to be in. Number one, reinstill self-respect. One of my cardinal rules is that I will not forego my self-respect for anything. For anything at all. I urge you, do not forego your self-respect for a good time, for a temporary hookup. You know that you have so much more value outside of your body. And reinstilling self-respect can look like taking a stance on celibacy, setting your boundaries, cutting off people who do not meet your needs the first time. Number two, surrounding yourself with caring friends, thought leaders, and creators, people who will truly hold space for your feelings. That is so deeply important. As I've mentioned a ton, we cannot go through this life alone. We do need community and we need safe spaces to break down in, to feel deeply. And as a creator and podcaster myself, it is deeply important for me to continue forging these safe spaces for other women who feel exactly how I do. These are very vulnerable subjects. These are topics that a lot of people don't talk about simply because they don't feel like it is a safe space to do so. But Misunderstood is the place that feels so safe to share these things and connect with others. Because at the end of the day, I know that I can use my voice to help others, and others can seek refuge in this podcast. Number 3, don't lose your critical eye. So whenever you are dating, I want you to ask the tough questions up front. A lot of us get scared of asking those questions, and it is scary. I don't want to downplay that, but it's really important to go through dating with a critical eye, because we are our own advocate and we can see things that sometimes we try to suppress. But I really want you to be honest with yourself and move through dating in the most healthy way as possible. Some of the questions can include, have you been with a Black woman? How do you show support in relationships? What are your close friends like? What are your dating intentions? These are just a few questions that I have asked guys to set the stage, to let them know that I am not to be played with, to let them know I care about myself a lot. And that is the reason why I'm asking these questions up front. Because if you can't handle that, then you can't handle me. And it's better for us both to know that up front. And more importantly, you want to know that your potential suitors are capable of creating a safe space for you and holding space for you to break down, to have these conversations, to really be in your feminine. I think that is so deeply important. And that is the number one priority. Going through dating with a critical eye, it will save you a lot of heartache, help you approach dating in a very healthy way. And number 4 is don't lose your optimism. So I am a very optimistic person. I do like to live my life in a pretty optimistic way because I want to believe in the best in everything and everyone. And I believe that there's just so much good out there, even in the midst of the bad. So how I would approach dating optimistically is switching up how I date. Maybe one type of way hasn't been working. All right, well, there are other ways that you can date. A little bit of an extreme, but you could move to a different area. If you've been in an area for a very long time, and if this has been a gripe that you've been experiencing for a long time, maybe consider moving to a new area that will give you a fresh perspective. And even when you're on trips, not saying that dating is the whole premise of your trip, but if you're on trips, why not date? Get out of your comfort zone there. And who knows? If it's the right person, they will move for you. You'll move for them. Try more in-person mingles than online. I think this really helps to remember that you still got it and remember that you still have your flirtatious energy. I love flirting. I think it's a Libra thing, but I love flirting. I love being cutesy at the bar and flirting. I do it a lot. It reminds me that there is more optimism to be had because you meet new people every day. I met a guy at the bar 2 weeks ago. He was in a suit. He does not live here. But hey, I felt really optimistic about that. All right? Don't knock it till you try it. Another one that I feel like is unutilized is going out as a group and letting your friends know that you do want to mingle with a group of guys. And it actually makes it easier. If there's a group of girls, go strike up a conversation with a group of guys. You putting forth that intention of letting your friends know that this is what you want to do. I personally don't think that is pick me. I think that is actually just being very strategic. In your friend group, you probably have multiple people who feel that same way, who have experienced maybe some negativity with dating, and you want to put yourself out there. That is how you put yourself out there. And I don't want that to be looked at negatively because that's literally how you date. You go and you strike up a conversation with new people. And I want you to go strike up conversation with somebody who you find attractive. It is daunting. I know it because I have done it now a ton of times, but it is a little daunting, but it's fun. It's fun when you go outside your comfort zone and go for what you want. And if you want a buddy, of course, bring a friend. She can walk up with you, however you do it. Just switch up how you date. When you switch up your lens of dating, it feels a lot more optimistic. I can promise you that. I think it's a beautiful thing to be optimistic and excited about the potential of love. It is such a beautiful thing. I never want you to lose that if you are like me and love is something that you adore and you hold very near and dear. I'm worthy of love. You are worthy of love. We are worthy of the love that we desire and we crave. We aren't going to forego that for anybody. We are going to stand on business, stand on self-respect, have our independence, have our other relationships with our friends, our family, of course, but our love is out there. It is. And I don't even think that's delusional. I think that is being honest. We do have love waiting for us out in the world. Being optimistic really helps us remember that it is there. That is the entire list, y'all. That is everything I wanted to tell you today. We did a double header. We had 2 back-to-back very important episodes. These episodes truly speak to me and my identity as a Black woman, but I know that this episode is packed with a lot of really helpful information for everybody to know, for everybody to understand that there is a lot more than meets the eye. I really hope that you've gathered something fruitful from the episode. Share it with somebody who you feel might need to hear some uplifting words. And for the Black woman listening, I'm speaking directly to you when I say we as Black women deserve love, a safe space, and to be chosen. And with that, thank you so much for listening to another episode of Misunderstood. Remember to rate the show 5 stars on Apple and Spotify and follow it wherever you're listening. Join our Geneva group chat. It is always linked in the description of every single podcast episode. Hang out with me on my other socials, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Pinterest at NK Madani. And I will talk to you guys in my next one.